Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Chain Trek. Welcome to the first edition of the Weekly Trek, where we highlight any news or updates in the blockchain space you might have missed over the last week. I'm going to put this up on a YouTube channel, Instagram channel, probably many different video outlets, as well as a podcast of the audio in case you want to listen to it in the car or while you're making food. And last but not least, I'll put out a blog or maybe a newsletter that's going to highlight all the different links and websites within that are mentioned today in the Weekly Trek. So let's get started, and we're going to go out to Texas with some big news with an organization called Grid Plus. So Grid Plus has a product that predicts electricity usage for users based on past history. It then purchases electricity at low rates through many different markets using Ethereum transactions, and this is predicted to actually save clients quite a bit. So historically, an electricity user here in the US sees about 100% of a markup, whereas it's estimated with Grid Plus they're going to see about 30% of a markup. So that's quite a bit of savings. Grid Plus is within the consensus umbrella. If you go into their white paper, the Edison Epic, I believe, is this part of the roadmap, and they're going to have a target region where they're going to go after about 5,000 clients. So even though it's been approved for the whole state of Texas, I would assume they're going to start with even a smaller, maybe city to try this out. I would guess Austin, but who knows, maybe Houston or Dallas will be that test region. But keep an eye out on that. That seems like a really cool project. And if all goes well, I believe the next step for them is to expand into 2 to 4 more markets and really start scaling up the user base. Next, we have some news with the Brave browser. The Brave browser is an ad blocking browser that uses the BAT token to incentivize users to watch ads. So they're now trialing opt-in ads for a select group of users. Users will be paid to watch specific ads through the browser. Now, the group in this test trial run will receive, I believe, about 250 prepackaged ads in a special custom browser. And for watching it, they'll be rewarded with the BAT token, which I forget what the timeline is for that, but it will be very shortly if all goes well. I'm sure they'll make it more open, and really that's where users can start earning those Brave tokens paid out by different organizations that want to market their product or services through Brave. Next up, we have some news with different dApp stores. So we have Elf. It's a Web3 browser with Ethereum and a dApp store that has come out with a downloadable beta. Now, the cool thing about this is it handles management of sign-on within multiple dApps. So right now, there's sometimes you have to go on, download the dApp. You might have to do a pretty complex or difficult process of downloading that dApp, getting it into your computer, your desktop, maybe your phone, wherever. But this is cool because it's all going to be in one location. The product will be and live within Elf. Now, Elf is backed by Coinbase Ventures. Coinbase is obviously the huge financial tool for getting your hands on some cryptocurrencies, and now they're really venturing out into other aspects as well. So keep an eye out on that if you want to try it out. The downloadable beta is available. And also, almost like a Stellar equivalent. Stellar is another blockchain, smart contract blockchain. Their dApp store, a dApp store of Stellar is called Mobius, came out and released the code for the wallets and the dApp store that they provided. It's on GitHub, so if you're a developer and interested in checking that out, it's available, and I'll have the link below as well. Now, Herosphere, which is a betting platform for esports, has launched a closed beta using Ethereum and utilizing their Hero coin. So now I believe it's actually exclusively through Herosphere. Well, actually, no, because it's a closed beta. But those in the closed beta can put up a smart closed contract that makes bets within specific esport games or whatever. And then upon completion of the event, whatever the contract tied in, or whatever type of metrics were there, whoever was the winner of that smart contract will receive hero coins. And again, this provides participants to create their own smart contracts. So really the different betting methodologies or what is actually staked or put up or what is actually happening within Herosphere on this esport platform is really up to the user. So That'll be exciting to keep an eye on. And I believe they're coming out with an open beta here in towards the end of Q3. So keep an eye out for that. I know there's a lot of people that actually missed out on the closed beta, weren't able to get in. So if you're interested, to keep an eye out. The open beta should be here shortly. You're never too early. So those are some of the words provided on Thursday from the head of the head of the Federal Department of Economic Affairs, Education and Research from Switzerland, Federal Chancellor Johann Schneider-Ammann. So he is a guy that is extremely, we'll use a little bit of crypto terminology here, bullish on blockchain. So he said back in January he had more of a mindset that with blockchain life might punish those who come too early. And then he actually quoted Mikhail Gorbachev saying, "Life punishes those who come late." So he's really all in now and wants Switzerland to be all in on blockchain. This speech was delivered at the Crypto Valley Blockchain Conference in Zug, Switzerland, which has been a very proactive town within Switzerland. They're known as what's known as Crypto Valley. So if you're looking to maybe emulate someone that's really hit the ground running from a governmental perspective with blockchain, Crypto Valley is probably the one that's going to come to everyone's mind instantly. Obviously, a play on Silicon Valley here in the States. Even so, the chancellor spoke to the fact that the internet was really developed in Switzerland, but really where it blew up and the ones that took advantage of it were the Americans here in the States. So he doesn't want to miss out on that again. Learning from past mistakes, he really wants Switzerland to be this hub of blockchain. And so far, they're really doing a good job. I believe they're even working to put IDs of Swiss citizens on blockchain. So it's really cool to see. We'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure there'll be some more big news out of Switzerland throughout the next weeks and months. Two different organizations announced this week that they're going to dive into blockchain for education. So Oxford, which is the hugely prestigious university organization out there in the UK, announced that they're going to be building a decentralized university. So they're going to adopt the Oxbridge course structure, so the course structure that Oxford has, but it will be separate from Oxford. What they're going to do also is integrate blockchain with everything. So everything from attendance records to false record prevention, it's all going to be built in to this university from the start. They're also going to try to adapt a decentral mindset, whether it's the way in which the professors interact with their students or the way in which even the departments interact within themselves. They're going to really try to adapt decentralization. So it'll be interesting to see how that works as a test case. I forget if they announced when this will happen. Keep an eye on that. Also, Stanford, which was a huge driver to Silicon Valley's success and is still a huge driver to their success, announced they're going to come out with a Center for Blockchain Research. This is going to be led by computer science professors at Stanford. It was funded by Ethereum, Protocol Labs, AmiseGo, Dfinity Interchain, and Polychain Capital. So some huge names in the blockchain space are helping Stanford to get this up and running. Stanford, hats off to them. A lot of times, not so much in the technology space, but if you go through historically, there's many instances of organizations that were ignorant to change and really got left in the dust because of that. The one that always comes to my mind is Kodak having access to a digital camera. If you don't know what Kodak is, it's because the digital camera pretty much killed them, and they didn't see it as the way of the future. So hats off to Stanford for not doing that, for seeing blockchain for the opportunity that it is. A massive opportunity, they know that, and so that's why they're incorporating it there at Stanford. Next up, Aventus is now live. So Aventus is an open source ticketing platform. It went live on the Ethereum mainnet. After the audit was completed, their audit really had no issues. They said they really weren't surprised because they're pretty confident in their team. Now Aventus is hoping to reduce a lot of the fraud and scalping that happens with ticket sales, but also they're looking to reduce the sky high ticket prices you might find on a secondary market by setting restrictions on price reselling ability. So now this is kind of unique because it might go against those that really fight for a free market if you're setting guidelines as to how high a price can be sold in the secondary market. But I guess if those creating the tickets aren't taking or seeing huge gains from the resale tickets, I guess it makes sense maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. If you want to check it out, Aventus, and the link will be in the comments below. Stellar, it's been announced that Stellar will be purchasing Chain for $500 million in Stellar Lumens. This came out, I believe, from Fortune. So Chain, if you're not familiar, is a San Francisco-based builder of private ledgers for financial institutions. So I didn't see anywhere if Stellar has announced yet what they plan to do with Chain, if they're just kind of acquiring this team because they really love the team and want them to be working for Stellar, or if Stellar is really going to start focusing on financial institutions and private ledgers and all of that. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. What is pretty cool also is that this, being the fact that this acquisition happened with Stellar Lumens, those investors, they actually just raised $43 million. So those investors that saw a really good quick return on that investment in Chain will actually be able to liquidate those Stellar Lumens tokens as soon as they want. So this is kind of different from traditional acquisitions. A lot of times there's standards on if you're doing shares, when you can sell off your shares. Sometimes it's a 60-day window, sometimes it's a year window. As far as I saw, there is no restriction on the liquidity event for those investors that now have the Stellar Lumens. So that's pretty exciting to see as well. And I've been fairly involved in the space for the last few months, really year and a half or so. I can't remember any other acquisitions like this where an acquisition happened straight with straight cryptocurrency. If you know of any, please feel free to comment below. This is the first time I've seen it, so that's exciting as well. So this week also, the Thiel Fellowship announced their 2018 class, and it was fairly well represented with the blockchain space. So if you're not familiar with the Thiel Fellowship, it is named after and organized by Peter Thiel. He's a historically successful angel investor prior to being one of the first angel investor and VC, prior to being one of the first investors of Facebook, which obviously did really well for him. He was a co-founder in PayPal. He also made a lot of headlines recently for funding Hulk Hogan with the Gawker case. But anyways, so what the Thiel Fellowship does is they pay high school age kids or early university kids to either avoid college altogether or to leave college, to drop out, to focus on what they're working on. So the class was announced this week. 3 members of that class have blockchain ties. We have Axel Ericsson. He's the co-founder of a platform where you can receive interest on your cryptocurrency. That's called Vest. We have Daniel Cherniak. He's the CTO of crypto wallet app MyCrypto. And we have Robert Habermeyer, who is the co-founder of a startup that focuses on multi-chain abilities called Polkadot. So these guys, I mean, they're already fairly successful in the blockchain space. I'm sure the Thiel Fellowship will help them even more. Just to give you an example of some past fellows that also are in the blockchain space, we have Vitalik Buterin, which you should know his name. He is the co-founder of Ethereum, really one of the, I would say, probably the biggest thought leader in the space. We also have Riddick Malhotra, who is the founder of Elf, which we mentioned earlier is the Ethereum-focused dApp store. So really cool to see. I'm sure this will really help these guys, and we'll keep an eye and see how that goes. All right, well, last but not least, I just wanted to close out with some interesting and unique blockchain use cases that might be fun to try out for those watching this video. The 3 we have today: Spacesuit. So it's a Chrome extension that came out this week to enable Ledger Nano S hardware wallet users to make transactions through Chrome. So similar, if you use MetaMask, similar to the way in which you'd use MetaMask, you can now use your Ledger Nano S directly through Chrome. Now with that said, this is a new product in Chrome. Be very wary of new products and new systems. I wouldn't put my whole life savings into of that Ledger Nano S into Spacesuit or connect it with Spacesuit, just in case anything were to go wrong. We have Cryptid Origins, sorry about that, which is a blockchain-based, Ethereum-based game, collection game, trading card game, whatever you want to call it. This game imagines a world in which blockchain has really taken off. It's entrenched in everything in our world. It's like kind of got like a steampunk vibe to it, but it's an Ether trading card game. I believe it's using the 721 token. It's live if you want to give that a try. And last but not least, I've made a few videos previously, if you saw them, focusing on Crypto Cup. Crypto Cup, you can't really play it now, but if you want to buy tokens that are already on the market, you can keep it, or you can also just go in and see how that's going. Crypto Cup is a World Cup focused prediction game where prior to the World Cup, users went on, they put up some Ether, they made predictions on every specific game. They put predictions on the winner and losers of each game and the scores of each game, all the way through the bracket stages, predicted the red cards, the yellow cards, and now obviously the World Cup is in motion, and I think I'm currently 230 out of 700. I did have a good day yesterday, though. I'm pretty proud of myself as being an ignorant American, self-proclaimed. I did actually accurately predict yesterday's two of yesterday's games. Got the scores and the winners right, so I was pretty proud of that. Again, though, it was just kind of luck because I don't really know what I'm doing. But check it out if you're interested, or check out the previous videos I made if you want to see really in depth how Crypto Cup works now and how it worked during the prediction stage. All right, well, thanks for joining me here on the first edition of the Weekly Trek. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below wherever you saw this. Also, if you've come across any cool blockchain news and you want to share it with me, tweet it out, send it on Instagram, comment. I'd love to check anything out that's going on in the space. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.